wanted to get into maybe a few players that you think will have a breakout season in 2024, and maybe a few players or a couple of players that you think might regress in 2024. So let's talk, and that's a hard, I know that's a hard one to answer. So let's talk about maybe two or three players that we think might take a step forward. And when I say breakout season, I'm not talking that all of a sudden they're going to be Pro Bowlers, but just take a noticeable step forward in 2024. Who would you name for that spot?
Well, I think the first one I'm going to bring up is actually a new player to the 49ers, and that's Isaac Yiadom. Mm-hmm. I just think that, he got the 8 starts last year, but no one was really talking about this guy being a big-time corner. But now he's going to come into a situation where he's going to play in the 49ers defense with a very good front seven and a very good pass rushing defensive line. If you can get to third down situations, he'll obviously be in the game with nickel being on the field. And I just think that with the opportunities that I saw Ambry Thomas have last year, that I think that Isaac Yiadom and his 14 pass breakups that he had last season, he can get his hand on the football and potentially get some turnovers. And if he starts getting turnovers, I think this league is going to change their opinion on Isaac Yiadom, and he could turn around next year and go cash in on a big contract. I think with his length, his physicality, and just the way he attacks football, I think this guy's going to be a big addition to the 49ers. So I think he could go from being a guy that maybe no one knew who he was around the league to somebody that's getting a lot of attention on the open market next year. I think he could break out and really help the San Francisco 49ers be able to fill that hole that has definitely been there at that third cornerback position where they were going out and getting guys like Logan Ryan and Jason Verrett and just trying to figure this thing out. I think they've got it figured out now.
That's a good one. I thought about naming him as one, but then, there's a couple of young corners that I think might challenge, especially like with Renardo Green, that I don't know, but that's definitely a good one. One of the ones that I named was Jer Brown. We saw him last year. He started playing later in the season. He made some mistakes. He made some splash plays, including a third quarter interception in the Super Bowl. I think that with a year under his belt, I think that he's going to come in. He's going to know what he's doing better. The game's going to slow down to him a little bit. I think that he's going to read things a little better. I think that Jer Brown is going to be noticeably better in 2024.
I think that's a good choice because Jair really had to figure out how to play within the defense. And now he's going to be coming in at first. He's going to be the guy leading the charge when training camp starts. Talanoa Hufanga is not going to be on the field until week 2, week 3, week 4. We don't know when he's coming back for training camp. So that means Jer Brown is going to be the one leading the charge. And that means George Odom, Malik Mustafa, Taylor Hawkins, they're all going to be taking their cues from him. And I think that he figured out last year the speed of the game. He figured out where he was supposed to be. I expect his tackling to get a little bit better. I think that was a concern for me. He had a 10% missed tackle rate. That's got to go down. But I think he figured a lot of things out. And from the beginning of the season when we saw him get his first snaps until the end where he was playing in the Super Bowl, I thought we seen a vast improvement. There's still things he needs to learn. He still needs to become the film study that Talanoa Hufanga is. But I think playing along Tashaun Gibson all season last year was very good for him. And I'm curious to see what that relationship is going to be with him and with what they got with Talanoa Hufanga. Another guy that we got to talk about is D. Winters because after the reports and then the comments by Fred Warner, D. Winters could be slotting himself as a starting linebacker for the 49ers early on in the season with Dre Greenlaw being out. And with his speed and ability to run, his natural instincts, he might have some of the best instincts that I've seen watching film when watching his TCU film. It looked like he was blitzing on plays he wasn't blitzing. He just recognized it, got downhill, and made plays. So if that is going to start translating to his NFL game because now he understands his scheme, D. Winters might take everyone by storm And it might be not just that it ends up playing significant snaps this year, but steps into that role. And we started talking about him the same way we started talking about Azeez Al-Shire and Dre Greenlaw when they were coming up as 49ers linebackers. So I'm very curious about D. Winters, and I think he could have a breakout season because I do think he's going to start as a third linebacker for the 49ers.
Yeah, last year I was really in on D. Winters. And then when training camp came along, it seemed like the 49ers were more in on Jalen Graham. I have a friend who is a Purdue University graduate, and he kept telling me, hey, watch out for Jalen Graham. He's going to be the guy. As soon as they give him a chance, you're going to see something. And I just kind of like, yeah. He's a 7th rounder or whatever. And but then you started hearing that the 49ers were playing him inside. They were playing him in the middle some and giving him responsibilities that they normally don't give rookie linebackers in training camp. And so at that point I was encouraged, but then the regular season came, and all the way through the postseason, we would see D. Winters play some with the defense, but we didn't see Jalen Graham. So that made me wonder, okay, where are they at? But yeah, you're right. I do think that we've heard some things, Fred Warner being one of those, that it seems like they are high on D. Winters. So that if he could take a big step forward, that would be huge, especially because who knows what Dre Greenlaw is gonna look like when he comes back, or when he comes back. I think that he will come back at some point, but we don't know when, and we don't know what he's going to look like. So I think D. Winters in there would be a huge boost for the 49ers.
Yeah, because they've got to hold everything off until Dre Greenlaw gets back. So if you could have D. Winters and Devondre Campbell hold the fort down until Dre gets back, and if they're playing well, and we know Devondre Campbell's got the ability, he's been an all-pro in the NFL, if they can hold it down, well, that means that the 49ers can wait a little bit longer for Dre Greenlaw to get healthy. You don't want to rush someone back from an Achilles injury, so that would be huge for the 49ers. And yes, I heard them talk about the fact that D. Winters actually passed Jalen Graham during the season last year. So that made me think that he understood the defense now and instincts were taking over. And that's why I'm really optimistic about how quickly he's going to acclimate to playing. Now, the question will be, is he will linebacker? Devondre Campbell playing will? Because we know will linebacker plays the most snaps. But D. Winters' skill set, speed, able to run sideline to sideline, all shows he should be the guy that should be eventually able to play that will linebacker role. They might have themselves another star player if he can develop the way that everyone is kind of alluding that he is developing into.